Hey everyone, and welcome to another B Gaming video. Here, I'll be helping you figure out where to go in Metroid Dread to progress through the game's story and give you the intel you need to defeat every boss that you'll encounter on the way. Metroid Dread is a hard, skill-based game. Typically, you will die a lot learning enemy attack patterns, when and how to attack or counter, and where your best opportunities are to deal damage. My goal with this video is to help you save time by cutting down on those deaths by showing you the boss's abilities and how to deal with them. Actually performing still takes practice and skill, so don't be discouraged if you still die a lot. I just hope that you'll die far less often after watching this than you would having gone in blind. I'll also briefly go over each power-up in order and where they're located so that you know where to go in between these boss battles. I recommend that you pause in or screenshot the map locations and mark it on your own map. I personally feel this is easier than watching someone else walk to the location in a video and trying to copy their path. This is especially true as the power-ups will be listed in order, so you'll know that you have the abilities required to get where you need to go to obtain that power-up. Speaking of power-ups, please help this new channel power up by dropping a like on the video and subscribing for more. For your convenience, I will timestamp the different sections, meaning each power-up and boss battle, in the description below. That way you can skip straight to what you need and come back in the future when you've made it further into the game. Watching boss fights, I think, can always be helpful, and this video includes my own gameplay throughout, so I could show you exactly what to expect going in. First in the list of power-ups is the Charge Beam. Found in Arteria, this item allows you to charge up your normal beam attack and deal damage to tougher armored enemies and bosses that would otherwise take damage only from missiles. This ability will help you reach the central unit that I consider your first mini-boss. Central units are all the same. You dodge projectiles while unloading missiles or charged attacks at the armored enemy until it breaks and exposes its brain-looking type body. Continue to dodge and blast away to finish it off and temporarily obtain an Omega Beam upgrade to your arm cannon. This allows you to fight back against those annoyingly tough enemies. Note that you can destroy the fire rings to obtain health and ammo replenishments during the battle. Armed with the Omega Cannon, head back to the enemy zone and rapid fire away at its faceplate to destroy the armor. Once that armor is destroyed, aim a charged attack at the face's core to land the killing blow. You will then absorb the spider magnet from the enemy's destroyed body. Next up is the Phantom Cloak. Still in Arteria, this item allows you to sneak by monsters, enter doors that would otherwise shut you out on approach, and also avoid the pesky enemies. This item is obtained by defeating your first real boss, Corpious. Corpius' face is armored, so you'll need to use the new charge beam and missiles to deal damage. This is a standard for your big bosses throughout the game. In this fight, you're watching out for his tail. When the tail curls and shakes above his head, get ready to jump as he swipes along the floor. When he arcs his tail slightly back, here's your opportunity to deal some damage. Corpius will do an arcing stab and into the ground. Slide under and towards the boss rather than dodging away. You'll now be safe and have a small window to unload missiles right into his face. Had you dodged the other way, his tail would prevent you from landing any attacks as it blocks his weak point, the face. Otherwise, in this phase, Corpius will shoot these acid balls from his face at you, and these can be shot and destroyed, granting you health recovery and missile ammunition. Once enough damage is dealt, you'll get more recovery items, and he'll transition into his second phase. Turning pretty much invisible at this point with the exception of his new weak point and your new target, the glowing orb in his tail. This orb will help you see what his tail is doing, even if he is invisible, so you can look for tails and dodge those same attacks. The only difference is now you can dodge the downward stab backwards and still hit his new weak point on the tail from either side. After you deal more damage, he'll become visible again and turn around, showing you a space you can use to slide underneath him. Look for opportunities here for unleashing a devastating counterattack. When his tail spike gets a bright yellow flash, time a melee attack with that to initiate the counter. Samus will block the attack and put you in a little cinematic in which you can unload missiles into the boss. In this phase, Corpius will now add an acid breath or gas attack to his arsenal. This is where your new spider magnet comes in handy. You can grab onto the wall to safely stay above this poisonous cloud. He can become invisible again and repeat his second phase, which you handle the same. Once visible again, be ready to slide underneath and look for that chance to counter. When visible, don't forget to dodge the stab inward so you can continue to damage as the tail will again protect his face if you're outside. These are all the mechanics for this fight. So just use his tails like seeing the poisonous gas build up in the boss's mouth before he releases it, and the tail attacks we've already discussed at the start, and you will have this guy down in no time. Next, you'll head to Dayron and travel here to obtain the wide beam power-up. Now you can open more doors and push blocks when you see that they have 3 circles on them. Now that you've got your wide beam, head back to Kataris for everyone's favorite power-up, the Morph Ball. To find this, simply go to the control unit area here and defeat it for the Omega Cannon, allowing you to take out another enemy and absorb its power for this handy upgrade. Next up on the list is the Varia suit. This allows you to enter those super hot rooms on the map without taking damage. See here to know exactly where to obtain this power-up. Since you can now survive these red rooms, head here in Kataris for the Diffusion Beam power-up. This adds an explosion to your charge beam attack, which lets you deal damage through walls and floors and can help you explode open some new pathways. On your way to obtain this upgrade, you'll encounter your second boss, Kraid. Now Kraid's weak point is his open mouth. Blast away at it while destroying any claws he's going to fling at you. You'll need to dodge a fireball projectile, but you can destroy any other projectiles that come from his mouth to grant yourself some health and ammo refills. In his second phase, his new weak point will be the pink belly button area. Watch out as the 3 holes on his belly can launch spikes at you. The tell here is that you can see the spikes be loaded before they launch. You can jump up and use the spider magnet to cling to the wall at face height, unload on the boss, and look for a chance to counter. His belly button also launches these bouncing balls at you, which can be destroyed for health and ammo, or dodged, but destroying them can take time and waste some precious ammo that you want to save for the boss himself. Note that when all 3 spikes are loaded at once, drop low and turn into a morph ball to avoid them. Ride the wall upward with the spider magnet after, and look for a counter opportunity so you can deal some major damage. Keep this up until the boss is down. The next power up is the Morph Ball Bomb, down here. This allows you to drop a small bomb when in the Morph Ball form. While it can deal damage, it's most useful for opening more paths and to activate the Morph Ball launchers around the map. Your next power up is the Flash Shift, which is found here in Varia. This quick dash helps you enter more areas, but is also super helpful at dodging enemies thanks to its speed. It also gives you more mobility in those enemy zones. This brings us to our next power up, the Speed Booster, which also grants you the Shine Spark ability. Found here in Dayron, this ability allows you to store up speed to do a dash attack in any direction. With enough room to activate it, click the left thumbstick or analog stick down while running to speed boost. While boosting, you'll need to angle down to crouch in order to store up this energy. To use the stored energy, hold B and then tilt the analog stick in any direction that you want to unleash your dash attack. This activation combo, in addition to the space required to pull it off, and the fact that any attacks or changes in movement cancels the speed boost, makes it the most difficult ability to pull off and take some practice. The next power-up is the Grapple Beam, found here in Arteria. Now you can pull out blocks when you see glowing blue lights. Additionally, when you see glowing blue walls that work with your spider magnet, you can now grapple and pull yourself quickly to them. This is very helpful at adding to your mobility in enemy zones to help you avoid them. On your way to the next boss, you will encounter a Chozo enemy, which seems to me like a repeated mini-boss throughout the game that gets stronger and stronger as you encounter them. The Chozo is able to fire projectiles and has a very powerful charged dash attack. I find it best when dealing with them to simply flash shift overhead and unload missiles into their back until they're dead. Now your new grapple beam is essential in the next big boss fight. Not sure how to pronounce his name, DROGYGA. Now this takes place underwater. This makes you move much more slowly and limits your movement abilities. You will first need to target the center tentacle with your charge beam and missiles while avoiding the bright blue and orange floating projectiles. They can be destroyed for health and ammo. Destroy the blue and avoid that red orangish orb, and save your missiles for unloading the boss. Look at the sidewalls here. When they light up, you need to shoot a charge beam attack at the green circular button here. Grapple beam to the roof, which will carry you along overhead to the other side so you can charge beam the other side's green button. Doing this to both sides is going to drain the water and create an opening to the boss's true weak point in the center. Unload your missiles and deal some real damage until you see its pink tentacle rise. Stop shooting here and watch for the opportunity to counter so you can continue to deal even more damage to this boss. Other than that, the attacks to watch out for here are when the tentacles all twist up together. This is a tell for a thrusting attack at you, which can be evaded by grapple beaming up to the ceiling above the attack. When the boss blocks off the magnetic section of the roof with a tentacle, this is a tell for 2 swiping tentacle attacks, which you will avoid by jumping over them, back to back. Now avoid the tentacles, charge shot both the buttons by grapple beaming to the other side via the roof, and unload missiles at the exposed weak point while looking for your chance to counter until this boss is dead. The next power-up is the Super Missile. Found in Gavoron, all the missiles will now be stronger, and as usual, this allows you to open more doors and access more areas of the map. From here, you're going to want to obtain the Plasma Beam power-up found here in Elon. This is a nice, useful upgrade that grants access to more areas per usual, and is a boost to your basic beam attack. You will then encounter another Chozo mini-boss, this time with an X-parasite upgrade. Treat him similar to the previous Chozo mini-boss and focus on flash shifting overhead to unload missiles at his back. Difference here is when he transforms into his parasitic form, watch out for his dive attack as it will now unleash black waves that travel along both sides of the floor. Simply jump over this. Now when a cutscene is triggered, be prepared to counter not once but twice in a row to finish off the enemy. Now it's time for the real handy upgrade, the Spin Boost. Located in Gaboron, this enables Samus to double jump. You can also use this ability underwater to cross gaps that are at the same height. Next on the power-up list, and also in Gaboron, is the Ice Missile. Located here on the map, you will need to defeat the central unit in the area to obtain the Omega Cannon and take down another Emmy, the same that you've done before. Once destroyed, the Emmy in this area will give you the Ice Missiles. These allow you to pass the burning plants, freeze platforms to keep them from disappearing underneath you, and can also temporarily freeze enemies. On your way to the next power-up, you will encounter the next major boss, Escue, probably the most pesky boss in the game in my personal opinion. This boss protects itself with a shield of lightning, limiting your chances to deal damage to when that's not active. There are two main attacks to initially contend with. The first is a large black orb that deals damage if it hits you, or it will attach to the floor and electrocute the ground after a moment. You have to jump to avoid this attack. You can also bait this ball to hit the wall, as it will not attach but just dissipate on impact. The difficult move here is the little projectiles that attract you and can't be flashed. Give yourself plenty of room to dodge these and attempt to outmaneuver them. Escue's second form is a joke in comparison to his first. A large ball to avoid and shoot, which grants you parasites that you can absorb to recover your health with. Keep your distance from it while shooting until it's defeated. Killing this boss grants you the Storm Missles, an amazing missile power-up that comes in handy in the next mini-boss fight. You can now open more pathways per usual and target multiple enemies or points on a singular enemy to unleash a volley of 3 missiles per target for massive damage. The next mini-boss encounter has you take on 2 of those Chozo enemies at once. Flash overhead is normal to avoid their attacks and prepare to use your new Storm Missiles when they're coming to meet you on the same platform. This new ability helps you take them down so much faster, which is helpful given that there are now 2 of them. After this mini-boss, you'll continue for your next power-up, the Space Jump. Located here on the map, the Space Jump allows you to keep double jumping or spin boosting upwards, gaining height and keeping yourself airborne to avoid attacks. This will also enable you to cross much wider gaps underwater, though you still can't gain additional height underwater until you obtain the Gravity Suit. Luckily, that's your next power-up. Gravity Suit is located here in Varia. This lets you move normally underwater, as well as enter cold rooms and lava in the heated rooms without taking additional damage. While exploring these freezing zones, you'll meet your next mini-boss, a Chozo with both the X-parasite upgrade, who now uses a shield. Handle him the same. Flash shift overhead to damage its back and avoid the same enemy dashes, ground stabs, and the black waves from before. Now there is a new attack to contend with. When he clings to the wall, he'll spew a black goo and align at you like a powerful hose that does massive damage. You can space jump to stay over it, but if you can manage it, it's best to bait the attack to the other side of the room, then dodge underneath the enemy. This gives you an opportunity to shoot him from underneath as he continues to spray the goo. There's nothing else new here, just keep this up until he's defeated. Many paths are blocked by frozen doors at this point. This guides you to the next big boss battle, experiment number Z57. This boss's weak point to target with charged attacks and missiles is his head. The first phase will see 3 main attacks to deal with. When Z57 grabs the walls and charges a beam, run in the same direction ahead of it. He will pause before continuing this attack. Now you must use this pause to jump to the one clear spot on the floor, not covered in pink foam that the beam leaves behind. Unload missiles at his head from the save point while he continues the beam attack on the remainder of the floor. The other move to watch out for is 2 back-to-back swipe attacks. The tell here is that you'll see Z57 bring his arms back, readying the swings. Simply space jump and stay airborne towards the middle of the area to avoid them both and taking any damage. The last move you need to watch out for in this phase is what you want to see, as it's your chance to deal the most damage. Z57 will come to the bottom corner of the area and start a beam attack. Stand by his arm just underneath his head in a safe area. Immediately after the beam finishes, prepare for an opportunity to counter. Time it right when you see the flash, and you'll trigger a scene in which you can unload missiles on his head for some major damage. When his second phase starts, Z57 grabs both walls with 4 claws. Target them with storm missiles to destroy them and get health and missiles while avoiding a tracking pink circle. To help you aim and avoid this circle at the same time, it helps to flash shift here while targeting your missiles. The hardest thing to deal with in the next part, but is also an insta-kill opportunity if you can pull it off. I couldn't myself, but I'll tell you how it's done. You'll have fans that blow from the right wall and a damaging pink foam that lines the left wall. Run right into the wind and try to space jump to avoid the curved pink projectiles that fly at you. Once they stop, you'll have a small window to take advantage of the fans to speed boost, store it, and ready a Shine Spark attack. If you can manage to Shine Spark the boss here, it should finish him. I need more practice with the Shine Spark myself, so I did defeat Z57 a different way. Now Z57 will do the same swipes to avoid by jumping in the middle and staying airborne. However, afterwards he will now swipe with both hands together. To avoid this, you have to drop down for a moment to avoid his head hitting you in the middle in the air there. Then jump or flash shift upwards in the middle to avoid the final swipe. Keep up the evasive maneuvers around the swipes and beams. Unload your missiles when you can and you'll finish him off in no time. Samus's screw attack is the next power-up to find on the map. Found here, the ability adds an attack to your spin boost jumps, making normal enemies in your way a far simpler kill and traversal a breeze. This also breaks more barriers per usual and opens more of the area for your exploration. Next up is another big boss battle, Golzuna. He initially appears as a familiar, normal enemy that is easily taken out with a single counterattack. He'll then transform into a tougher version. Now you need to get behind him by flash shifting overhead or sliding underneath to unload some missiles into the weak points in his back. The monster will then transform one last final time into the boss. His main attack is to charge you. Let him push you towards the end of the room as he won't be able to reach you in the corner with that charge. Once he raises his arms to attack, slide underneath and shoot missiles at his rear. There are 2 attacks to watch out for now. Bright colored glowing orbs will come out in different patterns. Simply flash shift over to the other side of the room for safety before they explode. The other type of orbs are smaller, bright white specks that track you. Once they reach you, you'll have a moment to flash shift away before it explodes. You'll need to do this for each orb separately before it's over, and you can look for a chance to attack the boss again. In its second form, it's another large orb that you've seen before. It is easily dealt with in comparison to the first phase. Dodge away and keep your distance and shoot at it until it's defeated. Shooting the orb also gives you the parasites to absorb to replenish yourself with. Killing this boss grants you the Frost Bomb. This gives you another upgraded bomb to use with your Morph Ball that explodes in a cross pattern and can push you across gaps where the floor would have otherwise broken beneath you and made you fall. Your next power-up is the Wave Beam, obtained from destroying the Emmy and Varia here on the map. As per usual, defeat the central unit to obtain the Omega Cannon. Then you head back to the Emmy Zone to destroy it and obtain this ability. This upgrades your normal beam attack so that it goes through walls and opens doors with the purple barrier. The last power-up to get is the Power Bomb, essential for the final boss fight coming up. This is obtained from the orange Emmy and Hanubia. This Emmy will find you when you're trapped with nowhere to run. However, a cutscene will trigger and Samus will defeat the Emmy on her own and obtain the upgrade for you. Another shielded Parasitic Chozo mini-boss will then attack you. He's the same as the last one we discussed, so handle him exactly the same way and refer back to that section of the video if you need to. There is one last mini-boss before you reach the final boss. This is a golden version of that same Chozo warrior. The only difference here is that you may spot a blue glowing light on the shield that gives you a chance to grapple it away from him and destroy it. Once enough damage is dealt, don't forget that you have to counter twice in a row and a quick cinematic to finish him off. So now it's time to challenge the final boss, Beak. His first phase, watch out for a black orb that can track you. This, however, is a welcome attack as destroying it will give you health and ammo refills. Take advantage of that. The orb can be destroyed by hitting it with 4 separate ice missiles. If Beak aims above his head, get next to him. This is an area-wide attack that hits all but a triangular area right by him. But be prepared to flash shift immediately away from him afterwards to avoid his follow-up melee combo attack. The tell you are really looking for is when he charges his arm behind him, ready for a powerful charge attack. This charge can be countered and triggers a scene that lets you unload some missiles into him for some high damage. Another attack to watch out for is if the boss and the room turns pink. Get low and into a Morph Ball as the only safe spot will be just above the floor. Following the attack will be a quick scene that also gives you a counter chance, so be ready. Another possible counter opportunity is if you see the boss taunt you. Take him up on it and charge in for a melee. It will be blocked, but trigger a scene giving you another counter opportunity and a chance to unload some more missiles. Play defensively and counter, and you may not even see each attack as 3 counters pushes him into phase number 2. In his second phase, Beak loses his armor and goes airborne. He goes straight overhead, dodge to the side to avoid a downward stab. Unload on him before he flies again. When the boss turns orange and goes to the side of the area, he'll do a dash attack. Simply slide underneath him to avoid taking damage. I usually saw him do this dash twice before switching it up again. If you see Raven Beak beam diagonally down at you, he's going to unleash a powerful wide beam attack. Flash shift away and unload on him while he's shooting at the same spot. A good idea is to bait it out to the side and flash shift under him just like you do with that black spew from the Parasitic Chozo. During this phase, if Raven Beak aims at you with a red targeting laser, be prepared to use your space jump and continuously circle around him. He's going to rapid fire and follow you for different amounts of time. Just keep circling him until he stops to avoid taking damage. These are his second phase attacks to watch out for, so keep it up until you push him into the third and final phase. In his last phase, Raven Beak will charge his cannon and shoot out a very large orange orb that can continuously shoot out waves at you. To avoid this, immediately morph ball when you see it and charge up a power bomb. This power bomb will destroy the orange orb and grant you health and ammo just like the previous black orbs. Now, if you see Raven Beak slowly float up, he's going to do a Shine Spark type dash at you. Try to jump over it to avoid him and unload after he hits the wall. With these new abilities to watch out for, he will also use the same attacks you've already seen. Keep up evading and look for counter opportunities such as that charge from the first phase. Then unload missiles whenever possible to get the win. There is more to do to wrap up the game, but congratulations as this was the final boss and you'll soon beat the game. Thank you for watching. Please let me know in the comments below if this helped you and who was the hardest boss in your playthrough of Metroid Dread. Please show your support by dropping a like and subbing for more so I can continue to bring you entertaining and helpful gaming content just like this video, but hopefully better and better with your support. Thanks and see you in the next video.